What's going on, everybody? Bourbonist Wednesday Wind Down, episode 2. Wind Down, not W-I-N-E. What's your last name? I don't even know your last name.
Aronson.
Aronson. Got Ethan Aronson here.
Gentlemen over here at the Bourbonist Podcast, we have a Killed Heaven Hill 17. Drink up, gentlemen.
I'm excited, dude. I'm excited. It's Heaven Hill 17?
Get it for
cheers.
a thing, boys.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Edgar, off screen, pal. Over. Done.
For those of you that know me, you know I can talk the paint off a brick wall. I'm speechless. Like that. That's some of the most mouth pleasure I've ever had. Ever.
As Matt Booth would say.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen watching at home, have you ever lost your virginity before? Holy f***. Oh, my God. Ooh.
Yeah, that is spectacular.
Oh, I feel alive.
So I'm Adam.
Dan?
I'm Ethan, and we're here with the Bourbonist Podcast.
That's right.
Thank you guys
Live,
thank you guys for inviting me.
Oh,
my.
100%.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming out, man.
Oh, not a problem at all. I'm exceedingly easy to get. I'm cheap labor, boys.
What are we smoking? I got the Tennessee Waltz by Crowned Heads. This is... Y'all weren't joking. This is a creme de la creme. This is...
That's one of my top 3 cigars that I've ever smoked. Now, I haven't smoked too many fantastic ones. I've just now started kind of entering into a new tier of cigars.
Yeah.
That was a hell of an entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very happy that we recommended that cigar to you. I think that is just one of the most just delightfully rich and full and powerful cigars. And what is it, like $12.25?
Yeah, nothing crazy. I think
Get
like
out of
$12.50.
here, dude.
Nothing crazy.
Oh, my gosh.
The flavor I'm getting out of this is worth at least $17 a stick.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What are you smoking on, Dan?
So I got the Barbacoa by Rojas. I'll be honest with you, I've never even heard of this. And
Rojas?
Rojas. I've never heard of Rojas cigars. I've never heard of the Barbacoa. But Edgar just gave it to me, and especially paired with the Heaven Hill. How's that for some guttural noises?
I'm telling you what, man. Like and y'all know I'm not. I don't ever shut up. But this is just all I want to do is just sit and marinate and like. I feel like my insides are a steak getting ready to be cooked, and this is the marinade. That is just it's like oak heaven.
I've very rarely been like swayed over the environment where I'm drinking something. For some reason, the cold is really bringing out a very, very present sweetness to that.
Yeah.
Like, it is so goddamn sweet on the palate. It's just, I've had 750 milliliters of that bottle for a year and some change now. I've drank a lot of that bottle.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever gotten that kind of, like, rich in texture, just very potent sweetness. Like it tastes like an old fashioned almost with like simple syrup in it.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that viscousness is absolutely there.
Yeah.
Is this Heaven Hill a weeded whiskey? Or
No,
it's
that
a
is their traditional bourbon mash bill. It's 78% corn, 12% malted barley, 10% rye is the mash bill broken down on it.
Wow, I don't get any sort of rye taste, like notes that you typically get from a whiskey with rye in it. Like, I don't get any of that.
Well, it's weird because rye is one of the most expressive grains in whiskey, but its most expressiveness is kind of shown in usually its lower age state form. So think Willet 4-Year Family Estate Rye. It's one of my absolute favorite bottles of rye, especially under the $100 price point.
100%.
It wears its rye grain as like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Like that dill is present, that kind of mintness is very present in it. It very much tastes like a rye. But if you ever have an opportunity to try some of the Kentucky Owl ryes, some of those 10, 11-year age statement ryes, the rye grain really mellows out and really just supplies a backbone of a little bit of spice and a little bit of presence, but it ages much more like a bourbon than one would expect. Aged ryes are so weird. They lose a lot of their initial expressiveness after like 8 to 9 years in a barrel usually.
Okay.
See, that's nuts.
No, it's rye.
Duh! That's just... I don't know. I lost.
Are the people at home ready for like nut whiskey? We ready for that?
I don't. Maybe. Yeah. Just chestnut whiskey. Just crushed nuts in your whiskey.
I'm ready for it. I don't know.
Well, Jim Beam already exists, so what the fuck am I talking about?
Yeah.
Half the people at home are drinking Booker's right now, and hey, get better, dude. Drink better. Come on, we're better than this.
I'm gonna be honest. Booker's. One of my cousins actually gave this kind of tasting note to, I can't remember what whiskey, but it was during Thanksgiving, and I brought this whiskey, and he took a sip of it, and it's hot, and he just kind of looks over at my brother and I, dead face, and goes, "It tastes like pain." Like that's what I think of with Booker's, because I've only had it a couple times, but every time the only thing that I remember of it was pretty much like it hit my mouth and it just burned my taste buds off.
Yeah,
like it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
Let me be a little bit nicer to Booker's. Booker's can get in the comments. Shout out to Brendan Lee Mulligan, man. Booker's can be really delightful. It can be one of the very few whiskeys that can actually bring tears to my eyes, because one of the first bottles I ever tasted was a Booker's.
Okay.
And I believe it was a very good batch, or I may have just really enjoyed it then. But regular Booker's to me is just, with 4 releases a year, the MSRP keeps going up and up and up. When we're talking about a state of bourbon consuming, bourbon collecting, as you know, you want so many bottles in your collection, and it feels a little bit weird to have 4 releases a year at $100 a year. It's $400 just to Booker's every year. I don't get the craze for it. Yeah. Now, obviously, you can see I do other dumb things with my money when it comes to whiskey, but Booker's for me, I love the Booker's guys out there, but I will not be the one taking that off the shelf for you. That's all yours. I'll leave that on the shelf for you.
Yep. You know, I just realized I forgot my contribution. Sitting upstairs.
What the hell, man?
I know.
What'd you forget?
My bourbon contribution.
Oh! We're going to have some time in us.
Yeah. Well, I'll have some time to go get it. We'll be all right.
Did you already finish your Heaven Hill?
I can't stop, dude.
It's not a smoothie.
I know, but it's just, I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is
Drink
caring.
up.
That's right. Dude, it's so good. It's good, right? Yeah.
So, Edgar sent me a picture of what you guys had last night at Lit.
Yeah.
And one of the whiskeys I've always wanted to try, and it kind of brought a tear to my eye, Edgar, when you sent that picture, was Coy Hill. And the reason why it had a tear in my eyes, because I had a severe case of FOMO when I saw that. And I was like, dude, stop. I just started crying as I was sitting there watching TV.
It's the bourbon whimper.
Welcome to the Sex Noise Podcast.
Yeah, that was one of those. It was a defeated cry.
Just text me. I literally took it out of the case and put the Springbank in it instead.
I didn't even know you.
Springbank 17
yeah, I do.
Is still. I'm stoked for all of these. So,
are we ready for round 2?
I was, and then you gave me more.
Keep drinking. I still got some coffee.
Drinky drink.
Oh, what are you smoking?
I am smoking a Davidoff Dominicano right now. I would love to be able to elaborate on this cigar, but I'm going to kind of let it smoke first. It's sweet, light, citrusy. The construction on it's gorgeous. It's a little short Robusto. I mean, it's a little bowl of the pleasure right now.
Right on.
It's a great time. I'm having a great time. Thank you, guys. What else am I going to do on my Monday mornings?
We're out. Dude, you weren't, dude.
I'm telling you, top 3 easy.
This guy's, it's like
Now-
toasted. It's weird, but it's like that flavor that you get, the aftertaste of a toasted marshmallow.
Yep.
Like that burnt richness, that burnt cream.
Yep.
That's what I'm getting right now. Dude, it's,
Little creme brulee.
oh
creme brulee.
my Lord. And then the graham crackers kind of seeping in slightly.
It's the Tennessee Waltz by Crown Heads. That is one of the most complex smokes. And see, I'm new to cigars, so like it takes me a little bit to get tasting notes, especially
As
on a
am I,
cigar.
Great,
But
great point.
that was the first time that I was able to actually get more than usually 1 or 2 tasting notes at once.
Yeah.
Like I got, every time I took a puff of that Tennessee Waltz by Crown Heads, I'd get like 5 or 6, and I'd actually be able to point out all 5 or 6.
Yeah, it's very poignant. It's very right there.
And honestly,
You
it
don't
kind
hide
of
anything.
reminded me of me getting into whiskey. You know, we've talked about us getting into cigars, and Ethan will have to talk about your kind of come up in the cigar world. But you know, with whiskey, like as soon as I came from a Jack and Coke, and then I wanted to lose weight, so I minus the Coke and Coca-Cola, and I went straight Jack, and then my brother was like, Dan, it's time to graduate grade school. Let's get up to Woodford. And so I took a sip of Woodford neat, and I was like, oh my goodness, I actually can enjoy whiskey on its own.
Yep.
Like it's not just like, oh, ethanol.
Right.
And I don't think there's a horrible problem with Jack neat. Like I think there's a time and a place for it.
Yep.
And I don't actually
The
mind
time
it
is
necessarily.
when you're really sad. And the place is a sad place.
It's a little bit more for those kind of depression times. Not really, I'm kidding. But Woodford was the time when I finally opened up to the world of whiskey, very slightly. But you know, you got to take beautiful things one step at a time. That Tennessee Waltz was the moment to where, like, I've always liked cigars from the moment I smoked them, but that was the time. That was my Woodford moment in cigars, to where I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like there's so much more than just tobacco and kind of like a nut, like cashew nuts is a big thing that I get with cigars sometimes, or a biscuit, you know, kind of that wheat flavor note.
Yep.
That was the first time to where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting this.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. It is. It's beautiful. Thank you for talking about my cigar.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
I do like that point on your Woodford moment, because for a lot of people, getting into bourbon or getting into really any hobby that requires your taste buds, there is kind of that weird first phase where you're into it and you can get kind of pleasure out of it. You can get like you can get enjoyment out of that product.
Right.
But we all feel like we're kind of lying to ourselves for the first little bit of it about how good something is, like value for money, because we don't know anything about this until like a while.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of hoping and praying that we're not wasting our money on something that we don't actually care about. But lo and behold, something comes around like that Tennessee Waltz. For a lot of people I know, it's the My Father the Judge with that cocoa note on it, that chocolate note.
Yeah.
And that comes along and it's like, oh, yeah, this is what this is about.
Yep.
This is what people are
Hell
talking about.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get this. This makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
100%.
it's a wonderful, beautiful moment in any hobby that you end up having, but especially with cigars, where it can be so hard to pinpoint down flavor notes for so long. And really finding that cigar that does it for you and pinpointing that note is such a good thing to happen.
Yeah. No, it was, and that was kind of a similar experience for me was, I never liked drinking. I never liked alcohol. I never cared for a beer. I never liked it. On my 21st birthday, I had a Blue Moon, and that was it. And then I had to go to work because I worked a night shift at a factory. So, but like, alcohol was never a thing for me. I mean, and you know, my dad would always like, my dad was he started out with beer, and then it was light beer because we, as a family, decided we all needed to lose weight, and so it was like Bud Select for him for a long time, and then it was like Mick Ultras, where it's like barely anything, and then he started getting into the realm of like he likes vodka tonics. And so, like that's his like drink of choice, which I'm working on him. But
you'll hit that when you're 72 years old.
Well,
you'll
no,
get into it.
he recently acquired a bottle of Blanton's and a bottle of Eagle Rare, and he drinks those neat. And I'm like, you're growing. That's wonderful.
Or
those
he's fallen. We don't know yet.
We don't know. Right? He could become a Blanton's head, and then it's just like, dude, you're dead. Like it's not worth it.
It's all Patagonia vest for on now on, but hey, it's tough.
But for me, I worked with a guy who was like a collector. And he was always, his favorite ever was an expression from like 2015 of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Like that was the best he'd ever had. And so all I remember was not being a huge drinker. My friend got me into Four Roses, and then we got into Four Roses Barrel Select, and that was better. That's a good expression. That's decent, right?
Yeah.
And then we would go to like simple, like just Elijah Craig, or it was like simple scotches, right? I don't even drink them anymore. So I drink scotch, but I don't drink the simple scotches anymore. I can't think of like we would do Jameson. That's an Irish whiskey, but like.
Well, yeah, but like
with
Johnny Walker Red, Johnny Black, Monkey Shoulder.
Monkey Shoulder was a huge one.
Yeah.
Huge one. Yeah. So then it came around Christmas time, and I wanted to get him a good gift. So I got him probably the most money I've still ever spent on a bottle of anything. But it was a 24-year Duncan Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and I never expected him to share it with me ever. And so I gave it to him, and he said, this stuff was so good, I literally shared it with, because at the time he lived with a bunch of other people and like another family, and then it was his family, and the one family is like a billionaire, so he lived in one wing of the house, and they lived in the other. But anyway, he shared it with all of them, and they all loved it so much that he went out and bought, it was only one of like 200 bottles made.
Yeah, single cask expression.
Yeah, exactly. So he went out and bought the last one that they had. And then I was over at his house for a business meeting once, and it got late, and he gave me some. And I remember that moment I was working on, because I was his marketing director. And I remember working on something, and he handed it to me, and he was like, drink up. I'm like, oh, cool, some whiskey. And he goes, no, that's the whiskey you got me. And I was like, dude, I didn't want, he goes, caring is sharing, drink up. And I remember like the explosiveness of flavor. There was like apples and pears and like a little bit of cinnamon, a slight amount of cinnamon, and then on the finish was like that peat mint.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like this is what whiskey life is like. And so from that moment forward was when I just started barreling down. To this day, I will never ever turn down a 16-year Lagavulin. Ever. That is one of my favorite scotches.
That's a fantastic scotch. I hope nobody ever turns down a Lagavulin 16. For the love of God, please.
Doesn't have to be your favorite, but it gets the trick done if you're looking for a good little Isla.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm starting to get into Islas, which is a little freaky. But when I found out that my brother was having twins, he loves Islas. Yeah. And I didn't know anything about Islas because at this time I wasn't really. Yeah. I was all bourbon, but so I go in and I watched some whiskey tubers and I heard Ardbeg is a great Isla, and so I go in and I buy the Ardbeg. It's pronounced the Weigdale.
Oh, the Ugadal.
Yeah, or the Ugadal. Oh my goodness. Like, especially, so when you think of Islas, you think of that peat, that bonfire kind of taste note. It's there, 100%.
Yeah.
But it's almost right behind, like, a smoked sweet bacon. It's like, so at the country club I work at, we pass hors d'oeuvres that are called pecan bacon, which it's literally, it's crushed pecan nuts on top of strips of bacon, and the bacon is coated in brown sugar. Oh my goodness! That's exactly. If you took those pieces of bacon and put them on a smoker, that's exactly
what the
that's the taste.
Or what'd you call it? Egadale?
Ugadale.
Ugadale, yeah.
3 very different pronunciations just came out right there.
Oogie boogie.
Let's call him Yugi.
Oh, man. That takes me back.
I don't.
Yu-Gi-Oh! For all
Were
the
you a
90s
Yu-Gi-Oh
kids,
guy?
oh, my gosh. My parents hated me.
Pass.
Oh, yes. I can grab a glass. My parents hated me because first it was Pokemon and then it was Yu-Gi-Oh! And my parents were like, can you stop buying useless pieces of paper, please?
Well, it's not anymore.
Yeah, it
Dude,
wasn't.
you get original Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know the Yu-Gi-Oh! market, but I know with Pokemon, you get the original Pokemon cards still in its like in one of those plastic sleeves. They go for hundreds of dollars for one card.
Yep.
Well, the Pokemon cards obviously went famously for thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had
Thousands
some of
and
those,
thousands and tens of thousands.
and someone stole it, so that was fun.
Oh my god! Oh my!
Springbank
So, Ethan, what are we-
17 year.
What are we drinking on?
What we are drinking, gentlemen, is Springbank 17 Sherrywood as a 2015 release. It's a Campbellton, so it is peated. It is not quite an Isla. The peat is usually a little bit more herbal, for me at least. But very few distilleries operate in Campbellton. Springbank actually owns the lion's share of distilleries that are even there in the first place.
So for those out there who are listening, because I'm not going to explain it well, what is peat?
Fantastic question. It is a...
It has something to do with like moss, right?
Yeah, it's basically, it's an agricultural... What is its exact definition? It's like earthy, mulchy, and if you smoke it, the kind of aromas and the vapors and the smoke that will rise from it are very medicinal, seaweedy.
Yeah.
Smoky is the term it's used. The smoke doesn't really come from like obviously like the fire and the heat, but it mainly comes from just the compounds that are inside the peat that give it an aroma of very, very, very smoky.
Gotcha.
Peat reminds me a lot of like a memory I don't have, like Halloween on the beach. Because I think of Halloween, I think smoke, and the peat is very much, yeah, beachy.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Decomposed plants.
Also, you guys could not have gotten the worst definition of what peat is. I was like trying to draw somebody while I'm absolutely blind and I haven't seen him in 10 years.
There you go. Yeah. That should have gotten it a little closer to you. Just a little bit.
God almighty. does
I'm
it
not
smell
getting a
good.
single peat scent. I'm getting all sweet. Now, that might be partly from the Heaven Hill, but
Coat the glass.
We're seasoning our glasses.
Yeah, that is a. If you actually want to taste this stuff, coat your glass first. Swirl it around. Make sure that everything else. Oh, Dan just died and came back to life.
yo. Yo. The hell just... I'm not going to say that last part, but oh my goodness.
That's like
Fruit salad.
Yep.
Like a fresh fruit salad.
Fruit salad.
Yummy, yummy.
Yummy, yummy.
oh, we harmonized
Good.
and that was amazing.
Good. Good. Good.
Okay, I'm telling this story now because you keep fucking saying that. So we're sitting down the other night having a cigar, and I'm having some weight issues. I've gained like 20 pounds in the last 2 months, and he looks at me and goes, "Good." And he's like, "I've gained 20 pounds in the last 6 months."
You were telling such like a good heartfelt checkup on the boys. It's like, yeah, I've just been putting on some weight recently. It's the winter time, and it's just haven't been able to be as active as I wanted to be, and I've put on like 30 pounds. Good.
Attaboy.
Beef up, dog.
It's bulking season.
That's right.
Nothing as good as a grown man that looks like a nice fat cat. It's my favorite kind of person.
Did you say fat cat?
Yeah.
Like this is C-A-T?
Dude, you look at Adam and you're like, I want to snuggle, dude.
Now you guys know why I hang out with him.
Let's go on the couch. I want to watch a movie, dog.
Done. Done. Anytime. It's fruit salad.
Oh my goodness! And then
my Lord.
mixing the Springbank 17 with this barbacoas, I got like a massive, like almost like a seasoned bread. Like if you almost took meat seasoning,
Yeah.
put it on a piece of buttered bread, and then baked it.
Sounds like.
I've never had that ever in my life, but that's.
It's all green apples and pears for me.
Really?
Yeah, it's green apples and pears all the way down. The green apple is so prevalent
that
for me. That
light
pear
fruit.
note. Oh yeah,
it.
like
I
a
get
Bartlett
it.
pear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, dog.
We're just literally. You all right?
Yeah. Well, I had to cough, and then
Yep.
I inhaled to cough, but there was smoke in my mouth. So
Yep.
then my body was like, nope.
That felt like the sneeze of a sick child.
Like a dying child. So
Nothing funny about dying children.
Except for their sneezes, dude.
All right. So, so what got you into cigars, Ethan?
Yeah, all right, let's do this part. There's a gentleman out there with the name Rob who his presence in my life is the sole reason why I sit in this chair today. And it's just because of what he introduced to me and when he introduced it to me. If you have anyone to blame for all of this, I am too much of a narcissist to accept the blame myself, so direct it his way. He showed me Booker's Rare Perfection 15, a single barrel J. Mattingly's Winter Wheat, bottle 139 of 140 ever made. I still have that bottle. I put my mouthwash in it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah, I had to keep
Nice.
that bottle. Blanton's and one other bottle that I will always remember. And we went up to the 22nd floor of the apartment complex that I was living in downtown St. Louis.
Yeah.
This was, I believe it was week 11 or 12 of the NFL season. Last year, the Arizona Cardinals were playing the Green Bay Packers.
Yes.
And in the fourth quarter, Rasul Douglas picked off Kyler Murray's pass to A.J. Green in the end zone to seal the Packers' victory and the first loss of the season for the Arizona Cardinals. I'll remember this so vividly until my dementia takes over my entire body because of what occurred during that evening. We started drinking at about halftime. I am sitting next to a bundle of about 25 banana peels because this is a very big sidetrack, but I'm not going to let that go unspoken. I go through these phases where when I eat fruit, I eat all of it I can find. Like, I will buy out a Schnucks of their raspberries when I'm feeling randy.
Okay.
When
Nice.
I'm feeling it, your boy can put down like 15 kiwis and not really have to blink about it.
Oh my god.
These
That's
are real.
excessive.
These are real numbers. I'm saying these are real numbers.
believe you.
This
That's
is
the
not
crazy
math
part.
questions from third grade. Henry bought 20 watermelons. Nah, Ethan ate all those bananas.
these are not word questions you get in third grade math.
This
This
is
is real
real
shit.
life. And we end up kind of going through these pours, and we interact with two people throughout the evening. One guy came in from business, did not live in the apartment complex. I guess either stayed with a friend or Airbnb'd it. For an hour and a half, we're sitting on the couch, and he's just kind of like standing off to the left of the TV for like the entire third quarter and some change, just standing there asking us about questions about like real estate in St. Louis and like what areas to put in different companies, which is a wild conversation to just strike up with a stranger and stand just a little bit off to the left of.
Who's just eaten 15 bananas.
Yeah, walk away from that guy. That's not a safe guy to be around. He's got so much liquor and bananas, and I don't know if you can OD on that, but he's going to find out really soon. Go away. And we get drinking, and I had never drank before in high school. I never drank in college. It was not something that ever interested me. And so as I'm drinking these whiskeys that are really high proof, and I kind of knew what high proof meant, and I'm not feeling anything. They're just going down so easy because, as we know with these barrel proof expressions, the oil structure can make the whiskey taste so much, A, more pleasant, but B, really hide the proof on it.
Yeah.
Like crazy well. That Heaven Hill 17 is like 118 proof.
Yeah.
That went down like it was 83.
Yeah.
It was
Oh
nothing.
my god.
Like it wasn't there. So these whiskeys were having that kind of impact on me, and so I'm like, I guess I'm a drinking god. I guess my body just doesn't react to like alcohol. Because in all the movies I've seen, guy takes a shot and he's on the floor. I've taken so many shots and I'm not on the floor. I'm still standing here.
That's because you had that padding of the bananas.
Yeah.
That good old potassium padding.
Yeah.
I had a parachute, and dude, it was about to rip. Because somewhere, maybe 10 minutes after the game ended, I just remember looking at my phone, closing my eyes, and kind of like feeling like I'm in a pool, like a little bit of a wave pool. And I just kind of lean forward and I just throw up all over. I was wearing matching pajamas, by the way. I was in really cute pajamas. You should have mentioned that. I feel like that adds to the illustration of the entire narrative.
You sound like a fucking crazy Disney character.
A little
All you do is eat bananas and have matching pajamas. Oh, and by the way, you're slurping.
I'm in a
down
dark,
like 7 different whiskeys.
a dark Dr. Seuss novel. The Miser and his Bananas. With a big nightcap and a gown with like a little oil candle.
A la Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, Scrooge in matching pajamas.
Yep.
Just
Drinking
picture
my
Scrooge.
bourbon.
Picture Scrooge and he walking drunk.
Oh, sorry. Forgot my banana.
And I absolutely just blacked out. I completely blacked out. Now, viewer discretion for all those at the house. This story gets rather lovely. Embarrassing for me.
Yeah.
But nothing above embarrassing.
Fair enough.
There will be fecal matter involved.
Oh,
Just
nice.
wait.
Nice.
And I remember my sister and Rob helping me down to the apartment. My knees don't exist. My legs may as well not be attached to my body. It's all torso and head. It's all torso and head. It's like it's a really, really bad place for me to be in, and I'm slipping because my vomit is just all banana chunks.
Like a drunk Donkey Kong.
Just yellow. Your boy's just covered in like red pajamas and yellow. It's not a good situation to be in.
It's the new Iron Man suit.
I'm a bad McDonald's ad. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I f***ing drank it.
Oh my god. Okay.
Long story short, I got thrown into the bathtub, but I shit myself in the bathtub. And I had one saving grace of a moment of clarity. I'm like, get it down. And so they can't see me like this.
Wait, so okay. So that's what got you into the world of whiskey.
Yeah,
And
you
I was
decided
hooked
to
ever
go.
since.
Then you've been hooked ever since, right
You
on.
decided to go round 2 after that.
I couldn't drink for like a month after.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that
my
makes sense.
Goodness.
That makes sense.
But yeah, that absolutely hooked me. That was insanely fun. That was the greatest moment
Let's
of
do
my life.
that again.
Oh
We're
god.
making that into a t-shirt. Da 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 da. You drank it.
Merch coming soon, dude.
That's right.
Ronald
baby.
McDonald with puke down the front of his chin.
Oh, we'd get sued so hard for that. Okay, so that's your whiskey story.
That was the first time that I ever really consumed whiskey, and he had a collection of about 50 some odd bottles, and
Yeah.
whenever he lived in an apartment a couple floors above, but he stayed the majority of his time kind of downstairs, my sister and my apartment. And whenever she would go off to work and I wasn't working that day and he wasn't working, we'd go drive and we'd bourbon hunt.
Nice.
And we bonded, played some music, talked some shit, paid way too much money for whiskey. Just do what you normally do.
Yeah.
And the camaraderie that kind of came with it, about maybe a month or two after, I started going to a cigar lounge in St. Louis, and he introduced me to Macanito Portofino cafes, Hemingway signatures, Rocky Patel vintage 1990 Toro box presses.
Yep.
And we started going to a cigar lounge in St. Louis, and I met some of the people that worked there. I met some of the inventory they had. I met some of the most influential and greatest people of my life in that lounge. And it was just, it was an amazing community to get a part of, because everything was getting traction and attention. Bourbon was everywhere. You could talk to kind of just a random person who was above 21, and if they didn't collect or drink, they were at least kind of aware of that being a hobby. And so when you just surround yourself by those kind of people and you get into the hobbies with them and you learn more about them, it felt like every good memory of like high school, of like being friends with people, like kind of having that nice little inculcated group of friends, just kind of transitioned into being like, now we all like talk about bourbon and cigars, and we sit down and we have a great time together. Yeah. I think I was very lucky to find kind of adult friends in my early adulthood. And I don't think it's something I think about enough. Is I meet people like Dan, I meet people like you, I meet people like Edgar off the screen, who's one of just those gems of people that I met at that cigar lounge within the first couple weeks. With a Michter's Barrel Strength Rye, actually, is I believe the bottle that I got you hooked on. That was a very special moment that I think I need to reflect on a little bit more, is that kind of making adult friends, which can be a very, very difficult thing to do.
100%.
And how good of a catalyst this is. I've seen this be for people, and that I know it's been for me.
Right. We talk about that quite a lot. It's just about how, because we can't imagine. By the way, as of today, we are officially not only a business, but we have an account attached to that business, and we have, in the governmental systems, you and I, Dan, are co-CEOs.
They can find us now.
They can find us now.
You can commit tax fraud now.
Yeah!
But it's 100% official. And but we talk about this a lot, to where, because I have a lot of family members who they either don't smoke or they're not huge into drinking. Like my grandma's favorite bourbon is Makers, which is nothing wrong with Makers. Like Makers is a solid.
I like it as a cheap. I love it as a cheap
expression. Yeah. My dad's go-to. Well, now his go-to favorite is Eagle, where I'm like, good luck.
Prissy mother.
Yeah, right. But my mom will still go down, the Makers route, and my brother doesn't really. He had a horrible 21st birthday experience, to where, because like my brother's a traveling fisherman, like he's semi-professional fisherman, and so like I'm not joking, like he's a badass motherfucker, dude.
What in the fucking Michigan is that?
He's a badass dude. He's one of my favorite people ever. But ever since he was like 11 years old, he just decided that he wanted to be a professional fisherman, and now one of his best friends is a pro. And it's actually somebody, if you're listening, would like to have on. His name is Brandon. Oh my God, Brandon.
This is God telling you to not say it.
Yeah, God saying don't.
I can't even freaking think of his last name. But he won the like Angler of the Year. Like fishing is a legit sport in its own world, and my brother follows that. And he works for Bunge, which is like the agricultural company. But he loves to fish, and his 21st birthday story is like he had similar, where he was just like drink, and it wasn't affecting until it did, and then he was driving home, and he's like me, like he's got an iron stomach, like we never throw up, and when we do, it's nasty and violent, and he's driving home to his apartment, and like as he's driving, just like head out the window like a dog, just vomiting as he drives down the highway. And so like he doesn't drink very much. His favorite thing is like one cocktail and that's it. So like I grew up around people who don't really drink that much, right? And that like cigars is kind of a once in a couple year, like twice a year or something. It's not like a huge thing. And so I have similar, much like overwhelming respect for the kind of community that gathers around these things, because it's not like, because I also have relatives who are like alcohol's the devil because they're all Southern Baptist, but like alcohol's the devil. And then I'm like, well, you do know that Jesus' first miracle was turning water into wine, right? But you know,
Bada boom.
bada boom. And but it's one of those where I never really grew up around it. I never really experienced it to the full until I met my adult friends, where you know they're from different walks of life, but they were like, "Hey, we're sitting around at a table. Here's a glass of this. Here's a cigar. You know, here's this thing that it takes time to experience it, and it takes time to learn it and to learn how to experience it better.
Well,
To experience it well. And it does. It creates this. See, I told you, it'll get warmer.
Oh no, I'm just feeling sexy.
Okay.
It's ice cold, but I'm red hot.
he said his shirt was coming off before the end of this.
Boys, I got layers on.
Nice watch too. Damn. Anyway, but yeah, it's the adult friends. It's the people who it's on a Thursday night when you want to watch some football. It's like we did last Thursday. We just sit around and shoot the. You know,
talk,
it's
yeah.
nothing crazy, and you're not solving the world's problems, but you're talking to each other about your own. And it, as long as you know what I mean,
Goes hard.
goes
yeah.
hard. That's right.
Not solving the world's problems. I'm talking about mine.
right.
Yeah.
I'm just a little guy. Yeah.
I'm a little guy. I got little problems.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Let me talk about my little problems.
What are we doing next? Oh, you're still on it. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm quick. To just.
Just keep talking without me. It's good. I'm fine. I'm savoring this experience quite a bit. I very rarely crack open these bottles. These are not special occasion bottles. I never have adored that term. These are sharing bottles for me.
That's
Yeah.
I like
Very
that.
rarely do I crack these open by myself. It just
Yep.
it doesn't happen much, and almost entirely it's just because I forgot the flavor profile.
Yep.
And I just want it on hand again.
100%.
In case motherfucker try to test me about my knowledge, you know, I gotta have that like ready on lock.
Mm-hmm.
But these are bottles that I like to bring with you guys. I like to bring with like Andrew and Brian and with Edgar. I mean, these are bottles I like to bring for the people that I really want to share them with because, as we all can agree, these are bottles to share.
Yes.
I mean, these are items that take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of gas money to like obtain. And so when you get them, it's pretty telling as to what kind of person we're dealing with here with how they react to it when they get it.
Well, and that's something that I mentioned. I don't. It was like an off-kilter mention back in like one of the early episodes, but I talked about taters of the bourbon world. Who
Yeah.
just they're the chasers, and then they're like, "Ha! Guess what I got?" And I'm not going to tell you where.
They're the
Like,
hoggers.
I want this on the record, though, really quick. What does tater mean?
So a tater is somebody
Tot.
who expects to find the best stuff in the simplest of places, and then shows it off like it's a diamond or a wife or something like that. Like it's those guys who post online who are like, "Oh, got this!" Like it's a nice crotch shot
Yeah.
of the steering wheel, the crotch, and the watch. Like that's, and then it's the bourbon, and you're like, "Oh, I got Heaven Hill 20 at this random place that I'm not going to tell you, and I'm posting this picture because it's a showing off." And I'm like, dude, that's not bourbon.
But where does the word come from? Tater.
I don't know.
Because that, like, I can envision a tater in my head. I have several names that come to mind, even.
Right.
But where the word came from, I have no clue.
I don't know. I wish I knew. I think it was just one of those things that was coined.
I mean, essentially, you're calling him a potato.
Yeah, just
Burn, dude.
You stupid spud.
You've been roasted, dog. You're a Yukon Gold.
I don't know where the expression.
Can we call him something meaner?
I just like it. Fucking narcissist, really. Like somebody who just like, I've got this, you can't have it, and I won't tell you where, and it bothers the crap out of me. Dictator, minus the tater.
You mean minus the dick?
No, he's a dick.
If you're calling him a tater, though.
But it's like I have expressions upstairs that I do not open unless other people are with me. Because it may be rare, but it's for sharing with others, not showing off to others.
Absolutely. Well, and something you said is I don't like the term special occasion, but at least so personally for me, I've got bottles that I only share. I never even look at if I'm alone. Right? If I'm alone and I want to drink, that's when I go to like a Jack Daniel's Bonded, which in my opinion is the way original Jack should taste anyway. Or I go to Maker's Mark, or I go to Woodford. I go to those cheaper whiskeys that still taste good on their own. But to me, when I get together with you, when I get together with Adam and the other bourbonists, like that's a special occasion to me because I get to hang out with people that I truly love and truly care for. And so I want to, and I also know that you guys will truly enjoy this whiskey that is extremely special to me. And so like even if I do care about you, but I know you're not really well versed in whiskey, and let's say maybe you don't really like whiskey, maybe your drink of choice is a gin and tonic or a vodka tonic, I'll still bring you out a good whiskey, but it's not going to be that very special bottles because I don't, until I hear or see that you truly enjoy whiskey, like I'm not going to bring out those special bottles for special occasions because I don't think you're going to enjoy it as much as.
It's a weird place of like gatekeeping to be in because you're like, do I deem you worthy to enjoy my brown liquid?
Right.
And it feels so weird to kind of go through that mental gymnastics. So I just say cut the middleman out. It's like, nope, bad vibe. You're not drinking this.
Yeah.
It's like I've been burned a couple times on like oversharing my whiskey with people.
Absolutely.
To the point where it's like, hey, I'd really prefer if you don't pour 3 ounces out of this bottle that I just got and like took some while to attain. And like I feel like I get defensive about it, but it's like, stop drinking my whiskey, dude.
Well,
like,
yeah. I don't want you hammering down this $200 bottle of whiskey that I went out of my way to go like drive hundreds of miles potentially to go find because I wanted to find this to share with the people I care about. You're someone I care about, but if I feel like all you're going to do is pour a 4-finger pour and then hammer it down like it's water, like you're not.
Thank you. Etiquette.
Yeah.
I needed a word of substance to kind of lean on for my point right there. There it is. Etiquette.
Yeah,
Edgar, thank you.
There is bourbon etiquette. There is bourbon. There's hunting, but the hunting is the experience. Like, I do know people that just go hunting by themselves, like my brother is this weekend, because he wants to go hunting.
Oh, it's the best.
Yes. Well, actual hunting, not bourbon hunting. But still. But yeah, it's very rarely the best things in life are meant to be shared. Your friendships, your ideas, well, some ideas can stay inside, but like a lot. Yeah. Some ideas can just stay on the inside. But bourbon, cigars, and camaraderie, it's built into the name. You're meant to share it.
Yeah.
It's like we talked about. We talk about it regularly. Like everything in life is coincidental. Everything depends on everything else. Right? Biology, nature, everything. It depends on everything else, and that's why humans are communicative. You can be an introvert, but you're still going to need another person to survive, right? And so the best things about camaraderie and friendships and brotherhood and this world is it's family oriented. It's, hey, you're not blood, but you're a brother, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. It has a very real life, real world impact that's really prevalent, and I'm very much stressing the really here because I think it's incredibly important, I think, to recognize that having those relationships really is a necessary part of going through every day with, the adequate amount of smiles throughout it.
Yes.
The place where you work, I am very lucky enough to work in a place that very frequently makes me smile, where the people make me smile, my coworkers make me smile, my management, my ownership, my clients, the good ones and the bad ones. It's just the entire environment feels like I can smile, I can have a good time.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to the people that are inside my hobbies, which I'm very lucky enough. If I haven't said it before, let's say it now. I work over at Lit Cigar Lounge at Chesterfield in St. Louis. I am around bourbon and cigars 24/7. This is what I live, breathe, drink, do. This is where I will. This is where I've lost. This is where I'll throw up and shit my pants. You betcha.
That's called home.
That's home is where you shit your pants. Home and like the weird little like long hallway in the malls. That's where we shit our pants, boys. Quick side note: have you guys ever like gone to the bathroom at a Target and you like walk out and you're like, gotta go back, didn't wipe enough?
Oh, things are coming back. Things are coming back.
Yeah.
Oh man, yes.
Hits.
100%. 100%. I remember multiple times where, and now that I'm a dad, like I can appreciate it more. But multiple times where we were like at a mall when I was growing up, and my little brother would like shit his pants, but like not his pants, his entire body, and like just everything. He was wearing a blue shirt. It's now yellow. Like that kind of just everywhere.
It's like
Do that
those
again,
memories
please.
only happen in childhood.
Dude, the worst
They
place,
shape us.
arguably one of the worst places to soil yourself, church.
One of the best places.
Yeah, dude.
Holy
the power
water
of
is
God
on
hit
lock.
me totally different that day.
Go.
Thankfully, I wasn't in the actual church. I was in the gymnasium. My parents did there was a fellowship breakfast that we had at my local church, to where it was donuts, granola bars. Like it was just a place for kind of the church right after the service to come over and to congregate and to grow in community together. And my parents ran that
Yeah.
for I think over like 20 years or something. And there was one moment I was younger and I was running around, and all of a sudden it was like I had to stop everything I had to do, and I was in a full-blown sprint. And at this point I was very overweight, so it was more like a prairie dog shuffle, but that was running to me.
Milk sloshing down the hallway.
It was more of like running with a bag of milk attached to your hips. But
Dude, when you called him that
This is twice now that we've talked about shitting our pants on this podcast. I'm not done with my first cigar. I take your two champions and I dig them down in the dirt with me.
so I'm like prairie dog running over to the bathroom. I didn't make it through the door into the bathroom.
Nice.
And fellowship breakfast just started.
Oh.
And it wasn't. Yeah, it was I deuced. It was a complete.
Yep. Completion.
It
Deuced to completion. Yes. Yes.
I need to touch on the fact of someone shitting inside a church, though, during service. You are the most powerful person in like a 10-mile radius. Your next actions hold weight to them.
Literal and figurative.
You can just get up and start running and like no one's gonna tackle you. Do you want to go see what's in the tabernacle? You can open it up. No one's gonna touch you, dude.
I think at that point a priest may still tackle you and just bear the consequences after. But
Probably. But still. Oh, man.
my good. But yeah, that was. I don't know.
It's life-changing?
It's a good lull right here.
I think that's I think it honestly is kind of one of my fondest moments now that I look
There you go. Yeah. That'll do it.
But no, during it was kind of like it was hell.
I remember my shitting the pants moment. I was at a summer camp by myself. So number three, I'm going down with you.
You guys taking notes?
Let's go. I remember
there will be a quiz on this.
It was a summer camp that my parents sent me to. It was like it's extremely close knit, and they don't actually it used to be like co-ed. It's not anymore, but it's for like, I think you can go as young as like 10 years old all the way up to 17, and they put you in different groups and things like that. And it was like it was a psychology retreat. So it was kids with issues, psychologically. So it's not very well known. I am on the extreme low end, but I'm on the autism spectrum. And I have something called PDD, which is pervasive developmental disorder. Essentially, it just means like emotionally I'm a little bit behind. Like as far as like mental and emotional maturity, which actually I don't believe really anymore, but anyway. Or I guess when you get to a certain age, it really doesn't matter, I don't think. But anyway, so I got sent to this camp, and I was like 15, I think. And I mean, the morning breakfast was like leftover chili dogs from the night before. Oh. And so I had already had that in my system. And then the next morning was like biscuits and gravy. So it was just like oil and gravy for like 24 hours straight. And so I'm literally holding my ass cheeks together, running to the bathroom and like, prairie dog and whatever. And I remember getting in there, and it was on a camp. Like, it was a campground. So like they had cabins, and then they had communal bathrooms.
Yeah.
And I remember they did the morning huddle, and they would talk about what was happening that day. And I sprinted to the bathroom, and the bathroom was like a good quarter mile from the main hall. So I'm like bolting. And I remember getting in there, and it looked like Hawaii coming out of the ocean. Like it was just a mound. And I tried flushing, and the water didn't move it. And so I left it. Like, and I remember thinking, no one's going to find out. Caring. No one's going to find out. No one's going to find out. And then so we had the morning huddle, and then you do like free time a little bit, and then you come back to huddle to move off into groups.
I just want you to let you know, I'm here for you right now.
I appreciate that.
I know it's coming up, and you're in a safe place right now.
I appreciate it. And so we're in the morning huddle, and one of the counselors comes in with a literal trash bag. And he's holding it, and he walks into the group of like 100 children, and he goes, "Hey!" And he just holds it up, and he goes, and he taps it with a stick like he killed an animal, and he goes, "This you?" And I was like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." He goes, "I saw you sprinting. I saw you sprinting. Is this you?" And I was like, "Can we talk about this later? Like, not in front of all these people?" And he goes, "We have plungers available, kids. If you need them, ask." And it was the most like embarrassing but also humbling moment, because I didn't like that guy very much, and that dude scooped my shit. He was like, "I don't know what's going on, but if you can't flush your turds and a toilet can't get it down, eat healthier." Like, that's all I gotta say.
Hey guys, be nice to my guy Adam in the comments. Be nice, man. You haven't been there. We haven't been there. We don't fucking know. What? Just a bag?
Yeah, but dude, he scooped my shit out of the toilet and just held it and was like, "I have it." Like fucking Wario in a game, and had like a bag of coins.
No, holding like his victim's head up, like,
"I got you.
Look at what happened.
Is this what you need?
Are you not detained?"
It was, yeah, that's my humbling shit moment.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great.
It's not a story. It's an origin story.
That's when your greatness began.
He's been on a 30-year tear to make sure that all the disposal systems in the St. Louis area are ruined.
Yeah.
No one flushes.
Yeah. No, that same year I did the same thing to my grandparents' bathroom, and they had to get a new toilet.
Story time too.
Yeah. It was anyway. All right, what's our next expression here? I think I'm gonna bring out. I don't know if I want to do the barrel proof. This is one of.
Do you guys want to polish off that tealing, or do you want to?
Oh, let's do
I
that.
still technically have spring. Let me just down it.
You pour. But this is Teeling. What?
It's a Teeling Celtic Stout, barrel finished.
That is such a impressive whiskey.
So,
Jesus,
I got this Teeling in South Carolina this past year. We went to South Carolina for my cousin's wedding, and there's a store called Vom Foss, VOM F-A-U-S.
Yeah.
F-O-S-S. I'm sorry.
Thank you, my Dominican man,
Yes,
for
thank
knowing
you.
the German word von
Yes.
Voss.
So there's actually a store here in St. Louis. But so I go out there, and this store has barrels all over the wall.
Yeah.
There's a side for whiskeys, so Irish, Scotch. Irish and Scotch are kind of their main things, but they also do bourbon too. And then on the other side, they have homemade olive oils, a whole bunch of different kinds of oils. And so me and my brother, Mick, shout out Mick, we go into the store. And the barrels, they're small barrels, but they have pour spouts, so you can take little cups and try everything.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And so we're trying different scotches, and I come up to this Teeling Celtic Stout Irish whiskey. And this guy starts telling me how every single barrel that's in this specific store is designated only specifically for this store.
Oh, nice.
So everything in this specific Von Voss store, they are the only ones to get. Every other Von Voss gets different iterations
Cool.
of different
Okay.
scotches and different whiskeys. And so I tried this Teeling, and I fell in love with it. And he goes, "What would you like? Would you like a bottle?" And I go, "Yeah, what's your biggest size?" And he pulls out this 375 milliliter bottle and goes, "This is the last one I have," which
Nice.
means I or any other Von Voss will never get this again.
Nice.
And I picked up the last bottle, and this is one of my absolute favorites. It was $50 for this small little bottle.
Nice.
But
Let's go.
That's the story of
Can
it.
you get it off? Don't.
Hey. Okay, you got it. I worry about teeth, dude.
Well, it's not like it's kind of one of those weird corks. It's
Yeah.
not like,
It's one of those weird corks.
Yeah, but the last time you yanked
Oh,
a cork
synthetic
in
cork?
this garage,
Yeah.
you yanked it right off the top of my
let me
LCBB.
see. Is that going to be, that should be, so this will be,
Which one
here,
was it?
let me make sure I pour everyone else a pour.
Yeah. Don't worry about me. Here you go, brother.
No, that's me, that's you. This
Edgar.
is Edgar.
Oh, it looks like syrup.
Let's smell you, dude.
Yeah.
All right, Adam, give me yours.
Ooh, yeah, that's Irish.
Thank you, sir. These glasses were actually given to me. I got given VIP tickets to the St. Louis Bourbon Festival, and as we're walking out, they had like boxes of these glasses left, and they had been drinking as well, and so they were like, "Hey, we're giving these away," and they gave me like 10 of them.
Here, someone want a little bit more?
That's
I've got a little
delightfully
bit.
sweet.
Do it for
That's
yourself, man.
yours.
It's yours.
It's your bottle.
No, I've
You
had
have shared
enough of
enough.
this.
Drink it. Thank you.
Oh, baby.
So, Adam, I know you've had some of this before, but
Oh man, that's creamy Irish sweetness, man. What do you get? Your palate's more sophisticated than mine. I will.
No, I'm
openly-
just more pretentious than you.
Either way.
Either way, the words sound good.
either way, your English is better than mine.
You get lots of vanilla in there,
And that's
like a vanilla cream cake.
Oh, dude. Okay, so for Halloween, I dressed up as a character that I made up called Pop Pop. This
Okay.
this pertains to the whiskey. Pop Pop is a man who wears long socks, like fluffy slippers, just a pair of jeans, a chunky sweater, and a cardigan, and bifocals, and a hat, a bucket hat. And Pop Pop had around some Werther's original candies in his pockets that were like the French vanilla filled ones, like
Yes.
the soft ones.
Yep.
Ooh, smells like that.
Okay.
Smells like Pop Pop.
smells like
Smells like Pop Pop.
grandma candy.
It smells like grandma's purse, like just candy.
Yeah, that's very. That is very vanilla caramel. Like not like a rich caramel, like a nice thin light sweet caramel.
Yeah.
Like I could eat a lot of those caramel.
Edgar, did you just say white chocolate?
Shout out to Brian Scalabrine, dude.
Why? Who's that?
Oh, white chocolate.
White chocolate.
Yeah.
That name does sound like a car dealer in like the middle of nowhere, Missouri.
Yep. That's exactly. who that guy is.
Scalabrini, Toyota, Mazda.
Dude, I just got it was like if you took almost like a liquid syrup vanilla.
Yep.
And coated it over raspberries and strawberries.
Okay.
Like, instead of chocolate covered strawberries, it'd be like a vanilla covered strawberry.
All right.
Okay, this is part of the reason why I adore whiskey, especially. This was like wine in the 90s, and this is whiskey right the f now, where all of us can agree that we smell these things or like that we taste these things. We're not going to agree on everything, but we can get what the other person's talking about pretty easily.
Yeah.
We will say these things, and to anybody who's listening or to anybody who hears us talk about this whiskey like this, they have no idea what we're talking about unless they kind of know.
Yes.
I will describe whiskey to my sister as like, I'll describe like a redbreast, and I'm like, it's like honey drizzled on top of raspberries and like a biscuit cake on top, and it's gorgeous and red fruit and light and vanilla and a little bit of like a round cake on the back end. And she goes, that sounds delicious. Absolutely, it sounds wonderful. Why haven't I not heard of this before? And I'll pour her some. She goes, bleh! What the f*** is this? Where's my Moscato, dude? What are you drinking? Doesn't taste like any of this. That's whiskey. You just poured me whiskey. You lied to me.
That's exactly what. So my brother and I will share whiskeys, and Tim
Yeah.
and Mick, really, but Tim especially. So like Tim and I share whiskeys, and we'll swirl it, we'll sniff it, we'll drink it, and we'll like there's one especially he got, I think it's a Ezra Brooks cast strength barrel select.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was straight. It was like the Carl Starlight, the Carl Huber Starlight.
Yeah.
Baby.
So cinnamon like that, except so the cinnamon in that Starlight was very different. When I drank the Starlight, I got monkey toes or monkey bread. So like the cinnamon, brown sugar, buttery bread.
Yeah.
Rich. The Ezra Brooks, it was kind of like drinking a cinnamon tea.
Oh.
The cinnamon flavor was totally different. And me and my brother are like sipping this, talking about it. And my sister-in-law had a pretty bad experience of whiskey when she was younger, to the point to where when she smells whiskey, she actually gags.
Yeah.
And so
Dry
my brother goes,
heaves.
smell this.
Yeah.
And she goes, I actually kind of got a little bit of cinnamon. That's weird. And I go, but yeah, she's
boy.
the exact same way, to where we'll be talking about this kind of stuff, and she'll be like, what drugs are you guys on?
Where
smells like
do we
whiskey."
get off thinking that we can just say these words
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
with
exactly.
impunity?
Who do you think you are?
100%.
Yeah.
And that was when so I was living at home when I got into scotches and bourbons and stuff, and I brought home like a Spielberg 18, and I think it's Spielberg or Spieldig or something. I don't know.
Did you get it at the Total Wine?
Spielberg.
Yeah, because I think it's one of their Spirits Direct brands.
Yes, and so it was wonderful, light 18-year scotch, wonderful. Gave it to my dad, and he was like, "This is disgusting," and it's like, dude. What?
Well, words hurt, Dad.
Yeah, right.
But like, I grew up in a family where neither of my parents drank at all. I would occasionally, once every 2 or 3 years, see my dad drink a bloody beer. My mom never drank anything. They never smoked. I think my dad used to smoke cigars, but well before I was born, or my sister, who's a couple years older than me, well before she was born. So I grew up in a household where like drinking and smoking like didn't exist. Yeah. I knew no one growing up that drank or smoked.
Right.
Like
exactly.
it just that was never a thing that happened. And I had friends in high school that obviously would drink. I was a cool guy, some would say. Like the people around me would do these things. It never clicked, never made sense to me.
Yeah.
So when I got into whiskey and cigars, it was a very weird kind of thing for my parents because the entire thing that we never did growing up is what our son now has made a career and living out of. It's a very weird thing for that not to be like a family made.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of people like would want to have a glass with their dad or have a cigar with their family for these special occasions, and it's a little bit odd kind of having gotten into all that and to make a living off of that and have a job in that field and just sort of enjoy it with kind of like in my head, kind of like a makeshift family a little bit, like because I spend so much of my time doing these things that the people that I'm around significantly doing it kind of impart some of those family-like qualities because I'm in a state of great vulnerability. I'm in a state of just lovely openness. Like it feels just beautiful and natural, and just something in my brain tells me to really enjoy these things and to really care about these things and to share those with other people, and especially in a place of work to share those as my job and to continuously get better at that every day about helping people get more out of their experiences with these things.
Correct.
It really does have a delightfully like innkeeper quality to it.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad I was able to kind of help make your day. I'm glad I was able to kind of give you guys a try of these whiskeys, stuff that is not easy to access, is not easy to just kind of like have on the table and be ready to pour. And that makes all of this just so much more special to me. And I love this idea that you guys had to bring this to other people, because while there is no real shortage of bourbon, whiskey, and cigar content, I think doing it correctly, having the right conversations around it. I know you guys, your podcast talks a lot about what it's like to be a man, which I have precious little experience with, but that is a very lovely thing to exist out there.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
appreciate
one
that.
of the biggest things to kind of state, because I was reading Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, and it was just within the introductory in the first chapter to where it was the introductory to where he's like, I want to help people, him and the other co-author Leif Babin, I hope I'm pronouncing that wrong. But
You'll be hearing from his people.
yeah, well, first lawsuit. But they talk about how people probably are going to read it and question, well, who are you to tell me what it means to take ownership and what good it takes to take accountability. That made no sense, but hey, we're still here.
We're following. We're tracking you.
I got you.
And it's not the fact that they are stating that they are the authority figure in what makes, like, how to take ownership. It's the fact that they are learning, and whatever they've learned, they just want to help share. And that's the same with us. Like, we are in no way, shape, or form authority figures on what it means to be a man, on what it takes to be a man. But the whole thing is we are trying to learn each and every day what it means to be a man in each and every moment. And what we learn, there's this pressing desire in our hearts to share that with other men. Because kind of like the analogy that I use when it comes to the gifts that you've been given, right? If you hog them, you're a tyrant.
Yeah.
And the gifts that we've been given with the knowledge of what we have come to recognize it means to be a man, all we want to do is share that.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with whiskey and cigars. And the funny thing is a lot of what we have learned about the idea of being a man has come from when we share cigars and whiskey together.
Yeah. Exactly. Because you get other people's perspective.
Mm-hmm. Having those conversations, listening correctly, and just being able to take what is said to you, both at face value and having that implication that they're just looking for the best out of you. We're not all going to describe it correctly. I think a big part of why so much discourse ends up becoming more negative is that sometimes people will try to market what they're saying as applicable to everyone.
Yes.
Or some people just read it as everyone
thinks this way.
What this person said they think that everyone should think this way.
Yeah, 100%.
When that's not true, and we're all fucking stupid. None of us know what's going on.
Yeah, 100%.
None of us have any idea. I am just trying so hard to get through the week.
Yep.
And when I share something and when I feel like I'm imparting some level of knowledge and wisdom, great shot. Great shot, dog. Great shot. Big ups to you on that one.
Practicing.
I'm not saying any of this as in like, I am correct and you should believe me. This is what I've learned. This is kind of the knowledge that I've gathered. And the reason why I'm sharing it is because I would like for you in particular to know this.
Right.
And I would love for this to kind of spark a conversation, for us to talk about it a little bit, because I adore changing my mind on things.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because then I drive home from after that conversation and I'm like, I have a new perspective on this. I may go back on it in 3 days and think like, no, I was right in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
But at least having that feeling is a great feeling.
Right.
I love learning new things, and I love taking on new opinions on things as they develop, because if I don't honestly try to defend that point of view, I'm never going to get a more nuanced opinion of it.
Yeah.
So back when I was in like a teenager and late in high school and early in college, I talked all of the damn time, which I'm sure you guys are starting to kind of see now.
Yeah.
And I loved...
Enjoy it.
It's fun. It's good. And I loved those times when somebody would talk to me about something when they would have a different opinion, and I would then kind of take on their opinion, and I would think through it, and I'd argue it in my head, and we'd talk about it, and then that opinion morphs and it changes, and little nuances happen with it, or we get into a different context that may be a little bit more dependent on it. And it gets very fun and very invigorating very quickly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I rarely have a better feeling throughout the day than when I feel like my opinion has changed on something, because I feel like I have a new lens. Like
Yeah.
I have a new tool in my belt to kind of like pull out with a better rounded opinion on something.
Yeah. 100%. And I think that's the glory of what we're trying to accomplish, is that you can change your mind. People can think differently and still love one another, still be around one another, and still, I mean, you know, there's many people in my life, or at least a former life, I would say. I would even say a former life, but who do not think like me, and they've gained their own opinions, but they've also, and I loved that, or I had a love-hate relationship with that portion of Facebook history, to where like MySpace started it, I guess, to where if you didn't agree with someone, then they're not on your. You remember the top eight friends, like the
Dog, I was born in 2000. I remember Wii Sports, dog.
Oh baby,
I remember Mario Kart.
that was Wii Sports was like my workout.
Dude, Wii Sports, do you remember those old videos of like, as soon as the Wii came out, there's so many videos of people smacking the TV because they
'cause
would
they
like
kept
do
letting
Wii bowling
go.
super hard, and then they didn't have that wrist strap on, or the wrist strap would break and just send it right through a
Yep.
60-inch plasma.
Yep.
Those were some of the funniest videos because
Yeah.
because it's somebody's kid, and then all of a sudden you hear the parents go, "What the?"
Yeah.
That brought
just-
so much joy.
But like that was the reality, is like it started then and it carried into the Facebook empire, I would say. So like from 08 to like 14, I guess, because Facebook isn't really that big, and like everybody has it, but it's all Instagram. And
There's a
TikTok
select
and
group
stuff
that
now,
still
right?
use it.
Right. Or
It's for weird aunts and uncles.
Yep.
And for half of you guys, I think.
Our weird halves,
It became
our weird uncles.
like
and
I
aunts.
remember like devastation when I thought or posted something that I agreed was like heartfelt and loving, and like this is what I believe, and somebody was like, "That's a crock of shit. I can't be friends with you anymore." And I'm like,
I
"Are
do
you
wanna talk about that a
joking?"
little bit.
You get that all the time nowadays.
Why on earth would you share your deep-rooted social opinions on social media?
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't anymore.
But at some point, and this may be I would say, no, this isn't even a generation thing, because there are several people, many people in my generation who are the exact same way. Why are we talking about our like political leanings and social, like what we believe our social responsibilities are to like just anybody?
yeah.
I get this asked a fair amount by my family, where it's like, well, what are your like political leanings? Which is, it's never worded like that. This isn't like a Ben Shapiro show, but it's
Right.
like, I'm not gonna fucking tell you, you weirdo.
Yeah.
What makes you think that like this is gonna be a fruitful conversation? My political leaning is whatever is funniest at that moment.
I like that take.
You absolutely have no right to know what I believe about something. I should be entrusted as a adult and as a upstanding member of society to. I hate this phraseology because it has been used very poorly in the past 3 years, but like, do your own research. But like, to come up with my own leanings on things due to my own experiences and my own kind of consumption of literature, my own consumption of kind of modern discourse,
Right.
I am not going to be sharing that with really anybody, because it's not going to enrich my relationship with that person.
Right.
It very, very, very rarely will. There are a couple people who I will talk about that stuff with, and those conversations always go well because I never ask them to like vehemently defend their point because I understand that it's not going to be a rock solid point. None of us have rock solid answers. None of us have rock solid reasons as to why we believe these very large, complex things that we're technically, even in our brain, are only accounting for like a small percentage of it. Yeah. When we talk about any of these big social problems, we very rarely, do any of us like account for the like the negative effects that those social consequences are going to have for people in other countries.
Right.
How is our topic about race relations going to, we're not really accounting some people in Myanmar right now. We're not accounting people in Nicaragua with that. And so if somebody kind of brings that to the table and is like, we didn't talk about this. You didn't mention this part about this. You didn't mention how like this will correlate to that problem, and you are just overlooking that. Okay, well, I'm no longer sharing. Thank you for playing.
Exact, dude.
I'm out. Deuces. I thought I'm a decent person. Apparently, I'm not that great at doing this. So like, I'm just not going to talk about it anymore. And that has done me, I think, very well for my mental sanity. Is just 100%. I'm not going to talk about it.
What 100%.
And I think a lot of people, the reason why they do it is because they're just searching for attention. Like,
or searching. Well, all we're doing is, like we said, we're searching for people to agree with us. We're searching for that camaraderie, and it's like you can find other ways to connect with someone, and it doesn't have to be. I'm gonna tell you right now, hot take: politics is a deep conversation, dude. It's not. It's not who you are. Your politics and your political views are not who you are. It's what you believe. It's not you as a person.
Well, and that's what I think. Because, see, personally, I think what you believe is kind of a part of who you are. But I heard a priest say this before, that the two things that impact you the most is politics and religion. That's why those two are some of the most deepest, because it impacts who you are. It impacts how you react to things. It impacts your morality. It impacts your integrity. But the problem is those two topics are some of the most like spark-inducing, because especially nowadays, I feel like if you talk about a certain political leaning, whether on social media or in person, right, I feel like the reason why I don't necessarily talk about it too much is because if I state what I believe and I state my opinion, that fires somebody else's up because they feel like it's a personal attack on them. When it's like, dude, you asked me for my opinion.
Yes.
If you don't want to know my opinion, don't ask.
My opinion is not an attack on you. It's just my opinion.
Yes. And that's where you have to have this level of openness. If you truly do want to know and someone does tell you that answer, you have to have an openness to receive. And that's where, if you have that openness, that's where I feel like you can truly gain wisdom, because what you're doing is you already have your preconceived notions and your beliefs. Yeah. When you open up to, or you ask someone else to open up about their beliefs, what you're getting is their side of the story. Yeah. And I feel like the only way to come to a well-decided conclusion is getting both sides of the story and coming to the agreed facts upon said issue.
Well, there is no both sides. There's an innumerable. Ooh, yeah, words are great. There's only 3 pours of whiskey. I'm fine. But there is an infinite number of like points of view there. So it's never two. It's like never. Well, you have to have both opinions. Right. There's so many opinions. There's so many better things to talk about. And I think you were right to end up saying that it doesn't categorize you as a person. It never does. I think we just put way too much stress on this damn thing, and I think it's stupid. Yeah. Your opinions on something will always change. They will always get nuanced. If they don't change, you have just talk with more people. I mean, your opinion will never sum you up entirely as who you are, unless you like old granddad 114, and then you're a piece of shit. Then you're a bad guy.
Well, I'm a bad guy then.
Bad guy. If you don't subscribe to the Bourbon This podcast, that's the only opinion that you can have, which is just wrong.
Yeah, it's
just flat out wrong.
Yeah. If you don't enjoy, then you're just wrong. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong sometimes.
And all your politics are bad.
I am ready for another. You're not.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Okay.
And I have to go party.
Do ya? I'm gonna steal a stick and replace a stick. I'm gonna grab something out of your. Is that cool?
I'll blast you.
All right.
Yo, what?
I'll blast you.
You
never heard that?
Obviously not. Look at his face.
Are you gonna explain, or are we just gonna like sit here for a second?
I just wanted to let it simmer. Kind of sit and let it.
What's going on, everybody? It's Adam.
And Dan.
Thanks so much for enjoying this episode. We wanted to take a quick break to show you how you can support the Bourbonists.
Now, with all the production, the equipment, and everything that goes on behind the scenes, this obviously takes some money.
Now, some of you have asked already how you can support us, and thankfully, we've now partnered with GiveButter.com to provide you with a place to do so.
And so all of the support is going to go towards everything from an increase in production value to future perks for our subscribers.
Now, financial support is never expected, but it is always welcome.
We absolutely cannot wait to show you what we have in store for the Bourbonists. And as well, we would love to have you along for the ride.
So go to givebutter.com/thebourbonistfund to support. And as always, thanks for joining us at the table.
Now back to your show. Give us your butter.
But thank you for being here, man. This is awesome, and it's going to continue.
What else would I be doing on a Monday morning? It's Monday, right?
Yes. I mean, it releases Wednesday, so we call it the Wednesday wind down.
Delightful.
Yeah, because I at least from personal experience, I most of my jobs have been blue collar, but Wednesdays are the days where at the end of the night you don't really plan much because it's a Wednesday, so nobody's really doing anything on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And also it's just you want to sit and be like, all right, I got 2 more days left. I can get through this, but I'm going to enjoy a good glass of something.
Nice.
Yeah. So Wednesday wind down.
I like that.
Yeah.
Never would have thought of that.
We help you get through your week.
You can tell these hands have never seen hard work before. These hands have seen weed, like weeds in the mulch, in the dirt around the house, those weeds. I smoke cigars and I do edibles.
This is the Las Calaveras 2023 Expression cigar. That's what I'm smoking now. And it's, I mean, that Tennessee Waltz was...
Well, of course the guys are going to like those cigars. A, both being Crown Heads products. B, the fact that they're Dom Pepin Connecticut Broadleaf.
Yeah.
Unless I'm thoroughly mistaken here, both of those cigars, they share those qualities with each other. And I believe it's the first time in several years that the Las Calaveras has had Connecticut Broadleaf in it because there was such a shortage.
Yeah.
But Connecticut Broadleaf, like what San Andreas experienced a couple years back, has just gotten incredibly hot and incredibly desirable because some of your darker smokers are really looking for full-bodied, robust, but mainly like characterful and rich leaves, and especially wrapper leaves. And so varietals like a good San Andreas, like a good Connecticut Broadleaf, just really present that to a cigar. And when it's done well, like in that Las Calaveras 2023 and in Tennessee Waltz, Tatuaje, there's a handful of broadleafs that are just delightful. They come across absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
If you are somebody who doesn't just need to smoke Sumatrans or shade-grown Connecticut and you can get beyond that light stuff, God almighty, Connecticut Broadleaf is like the barrel proof of wrapper leaves.
Yep.
It's rich, it's thick, it's condensed, it's oily, it has spice and it has power to it, but it tastes like it all has this gorgeous kind of oil over it, so you can taste it.
Right, and that's how it actually feels like that too. It feels like dried oil on top of it, like just brushed on the leaf.
I really want to know what they treat those with because it's a very well-known secret in cigars that Padron with their Maduros, which if you guys don't know, it is very highly speculated to be a San Andreas wrapper on them. Which would make it not a Nicaraguan Puro, would make it with Mexican tobacco as the wrapper. But they are relatively well known for having some solution of Dr. Pepper that they will spray on the leaves as they ferment and age, which will give it its characteristics.
Really?
Again, none of this is confirmed. None of this is not breaking news here. This is a big podcast. It's not that big. But that is a thing that's kind of, a little bit of speculation. So I'm very much wondering if companies that have these very good Connecticut broadleafs are doing something similar, because they have a very, very characterful smoke to them.
Yes.
And especially the ash on the Padrones is very textured. It's very pimply. If you guys have ever played ping pong like I do, you kind of know you can see the pimples on the rubber. You can kind of see the pimples on the ash. It's very indicative of the same kind of pimply texture. You can kind of see it there.
Yeah, I get that.
Sometimes you can see it on age, but if you're smoking like a Cameroon, or if you're smoking a Sumatra, it's got good age to it. Usually it won't have the kind of the pebbles on it, or at least it usually not for me. It is typically in those Maduros, especially those darker Maduros, they'll have those pimply to it, and that's a great texture to have. It's a great toothy texture to have on the cigar.
Yeah, yeah, it is. All right, I want to share my expression. I would love to. Yeah, I want to see what you guys think of this. I've never heard of them. It's called Cardinal Spirits. They're out of Indiana.
Yeah.
This is a barrel-proof expression. 75% corn, 21% rye, 4% malt. Barreled on January 4th of 2022. It's a 5-year expression, sitting at 62% alcohol. What is that?
124 proof.
124. Okay, so it's a little dicey, but oh, that sound! I haven't opened this in probably 6 months. Because again, it's like that. It's the one and done. It's that expression to where it's like, this is the only one, just a little bit.
We still got barrel proof and another bottle to go.
Yep. Well, the other bottle we don't have to, but yeah, the barrel proof. Here you go, buddy. Edgar. This is there's a cool story about this. So there's a place. Is that enough? You want to go? There's a place in Collinsville, Illinois, called Dean's Liquor. It's this little tiny, like nuanced liquor store, like right off Main Street, Collinsville.
Yeah.
And the guy there, I'm so
Are
sorry.
they the ones that have like the little wine cake, like the little wine boxes in the back? Like
Yes.
you walk in and then like in the back, right off to the right, there's like the wine room.
Yeah.
Been there before.
Yeah.
Great little spot. Little spot.
And so I went there, ended up talking to this is probably a year and a half ago. Ended up talking to the dude for like an hour and a half. He goes in the back and he's like, I can tell that you enjoy your bourbons. So I've got an Old Forester from 1985 that I'd like for you to have. And it was delightful. And then I told him, I go, because he had like the old St. Nick's there, and he had like, he had Pinhook, he had all the expressions, the colors of Pinhook, like everything you could imagine. And I was like, all right, your pick. What would you choose in this store right now? And he pulls this barrel proof underneath. It's literally called Cardinal Spirits Barrel Proof. And he pulled it out from under the table or under the desk, and he goes, "This is the last one I got."
I believe Dan and Sean from the Bourbon Junkies have mentioned Cardinal Spirits before, which is why it comes up in my, which is why it kind of registers in my brain right there. Because I believe they've mentioned it before. I'm not sure if they've tasted anything from them, but I believe they've gotten them in and they talked about it on some of their live streams before. Yeah. Another one of those podcasts and those YouTube channels that have done very well with the bourbon market going as crazy as they have.
I love the Bourbon Junkies.
Some absolute OGs in the field that have been doing this for a while and make some amazing content out there. I know their stuff should be hitting shelves relatively soon. Virtue Spirits, I believe is what it's called. Virtue Spirits.
Yeah.
They've mentioned Cardinal Spirits once or twice before, so I'm actually very excited to end up trying it. I am not ashamed to admit a lot of my first opinions for the first 2 months in the whiskey was pretty much just copy and paste what they were saying. I'm like, yep, what they said is what I'm going to now believe.
Right, yep.
Until I can try it and do it on my own.
Yeah.
A great little bit of early bourbon kind of knowing and talking about is finding those opinions.
100%.
Wow.
It's got a great nose to her.
Oh, she's beautiful. I've had this before, but man, it's crazy how once you get from the top of a bottle to kind of like mid to pretty much the further down the bottle you get, how almost you get these different notes and how would you explain it? The expression of the whiskey kind of almost changes, or? Yeah,
so what a lot of people but the example that a lot of people have is neck pours. And last pours is the neck pour is always going to be the worst. It's always going to be the hottest. I don't believe there's a lot of clear evidence that supports it. I know we all taste it. I think it might just be an acclimation thing to where we just get more acclimated to the whiskey and we get a little bit more familiar with the profile as we kind of get down the bottle of it. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's actual some real science behind it, because oxidation does mellow out a whiskey as it matures in a barrel. That's part of why they use usually looser grain oaks. New American white oak, especially when you toast it, does have a much looser grain structure than French oak, which is very well known for having a very tight grain structure to it, which is why it tends to hold like wine. Is the oxidation as it heats and cools throughout an entire year, especially in a climate like Kentucky or Tennessee. The expansion of the whiskey being pulled into the wood does help oxidize it as oxygen kind of gets into it.
Right.
Because whiskey is potable and because whiskey is something that you can open up and keep around for a while, oxygen is going to have some sort of impact on it. It's kind of the inverse is what happens with wine, which is why you use a natural cork, particularly a good natural cork, is oxidation is your enemy on it. There's a brand of wine tools called Coravon, which is very well known for having this little implement that you put on top of a bottle of wine and it inserts a needle in it and a little pour spout. So you insert a needle through the cork and it makes contact with the actual wine in it. And as you pour, it releases, I believe it's argon. It is a tasteless, odorless, but a heavier gas, so it rests on top of the wine so that no oxygen can kind of get through.
Okay.
So it wouldn't surprise me if oxidation inside a bottle does have an impact on how it kind of matures a little bit.
Yeah. Let's go for it.
It usually gets a lot better. I mean, those last pours at FNL 17 were absolutely incredible.
That was absolutely mind blowing.
Yep.
That was some of the best sips of whiskey I've had in quite a while.
Well, and part of the reason why I asked if the Heaven Hill 17 was
Yep. A little spice.
was a wheated whiskey, because the Heaven Hill 20 that I had recently at a whiskey event was a wheated whiskey.
Yeah.
20-year.
The Heaven Hill 20?
From what I remember, at least from what I heard from one of the guys there.
I know it's a corn whiskey. I believe the mash bill on it is 80% corn, but I think it's rye and malted barley that makes up the rest of it.
That might have been what I heard.
I don't believe it's weird, just because there's not much of the mash bill left for wheat to kind of insert itself in any real way. I'd be surprised if it was anything more than a slight alteration of their General Elijah Craig mash bill, which is the 78-12-10.
Well, see, that's what, because I was a little bit leery, but when I brought up the Heaven Hill 20, someone came up and was like, "Oh yeah, the wheated whiskey," and I was like, I guess, and I didn't know like really much about it, and so I was like, yeah, this guy sounds confident, so I mean, crap. I guess that just goes to show if you don't know much about anything and you just seem confident in your answer, you can skew a lot of people.
Yeah, f- that guy. It's 80% corn, 8% rye, 12% malted barley. I hear talking out of his ass.
I love you, dude.
All right, well,
there it is.
If you're listening, you're wrong.
So what are you guys getting out of this one? I mean,
Heaven. That's what I got. It was like I got like a cinnamon. So do you know those pecans? They're called prairie or praline pecans.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah.
It was that with almost like, oh yeah. It was that, but with like some red fruit.
Right on. What do you got? Big dog. The nose is delightful.
I could. This is going to be taken way out of context, but I could sit and sniff this all day.
Please do your boy a favor and take that to town in the comment section. Just go at it.
Which boy?
Me. Do me a favor and just... Dan says he could sniff this all day. Please eviscerate him in the comments.
It's cocaine. I'm getting some good blackberries off the nose. It started off lighter, but as it kind of gets down a little bit in the glass, and as I keep sniffing it, she's getting nice and blackberry on me.
See, I'm getting like heavy brown sugar caramel.
You're good, baby. It's not going to hear anything. Hi.
Hello.
That's my wife, guys.
Goodbye.
Ooh, that palate's delightful.
Yeah, not bad, right?
Holds a lot of good presence to it.
Get that nice warm Kentucky hug down at the
Oh, yeah,
back.
that's exactly what that is.
I
Kentucky
don't get
hug.
hugged.
Smothered.
Just enveloped.
That's backwards.
Engulfed.
That's just
That'd be like if you took that bag of milk and just try to wrap it around.
All right, second time we talked about the bag of milk. Let's talk about it a little bit.
So
go
on Thursday, On Thursday, we were just sitting down chatting.
Let's just cut to it. All right, your boy Dan over here used to be a fat guy. Used to be a big fella.
So fat, I would even say, doesn't even give it justice.
If you saw him, you would say.
So I showed him a picture of my old self, and Ethan just starts giggling, and he goes, "It looks like when you walked, your body made the sloshing noise."
Just like a wet human.
So we started laughing, and then he looks at me with all seriousness in his eyes with a slight smirk, like one of those shit-eating grins, and he goes, "It looks like you put a gallon of milk in a trash bag," and we're just kind of wagging it around.
Just a loose bag of milk.
So
Lord.
that's where the bag of milk comes from.
exactly.
That's going on a shirt.
Yeah. Yep. Dan's bag of milk.
built like a bag of milk.
It's a bag of milk with two legs, and it just says Dan on it.
Oh man. All right, so you are officially the youngest at the table, Ethan.
I am. I'm 22.
Yeah. So I'd love to get because you're more a part of this current albeit loud generation, like social media loud. We were just talking about earlier. What do you think in your experiences with the men in your life? What do you think makes a man?
That's a great question, and it's one I think about relatively frequently. Now, something that you have to know about me growing up is that I had a mother and father both in my life, very prominently in my life, but I was raised by women. My mother, who is the strongest woman, the strongest person I've ever met, and if you've met her, she's the strongest person you've ever met. Like
I get that.
I've
never met her, but I understand what you're trying to say. Yeah.
If you have ever interacted with that woman before, congratulations. You've met the strongest person on God's green earth. And I grew up with a sister who was 2 years older. My aunt, who's about 10 years older than me, she lived in the house with us. And we used to have nannies because my mother is, she's paralyzed on half of her entire right side. She's paralyzed. Oh. And my father works in the car business. He used to put in these obnoxious hours, like 70 to 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
And so for the majority of my time, and even the grade school that I went to was like 75% girls, there was like 4 or 5 of us guys there.
Oh, wow.
Like I grew up exclusively around women. Mm-hmm. So a male presence in my life, while absolutely was my father, it's just I grew up entirely around women my entire life growing up. And even in middle school and high school, a lot of like my good friends were the girls that I met doing theater. I did theater all throughout high school, over at an all-boys high school. I went to the Smet Jesuit here in St. Louis.
There you go. Okay.
It's a private boys, all-Catholic high school, and I did theater there. So like I interacted with some of the guys I did theater with, but most of the time I was around at least 50% girls.
Yeah.
So manhood to me never meant shit.
Yeah.
Like what a man was not a thing that could be defined. It was just, I don't know. I resemble a guy. People have told me I am. So yeah. Boom. That's kind of what it is. I've never felt as if there is a characteristic that defines it. I've never felt as if there is a persona or like an idiosyncrasy or a desire or like a chemical structure that like defines what a man is. I'm not saying those things don't or can't exist. And if you believe differently than I do, I'm not telling you you're wrong for that. But just I never ever thought of growing up like there's a man that I have to be. There was always a person that I had to be. But if you asked me who's one person that you want to make proud in your life, it was always my mom.
Yeah.
If there was one person that I wanted to have the best life that I could possibly think that a person could have, it was my sister. And it's just these. If you ask me who are like the 5 most important people in my life, I have like one man on that list.
Yeah.
There's one man on that list. I never felt like I had to live up to a standard. I never felt like I had to be a certain kind of person. I just was, and I just am.
I like that.
Into my kind of early adulthood, I will sometimes think about it a little bit more. If you guys are listening and you're not seeing, I'm like, 128 pounds soaking wet with some clothes on. Like I am far from the stature of like a powerful man. And it just, that ate at me for a little bit in high school because, when you put that kind of persona on you, when that kind of enters your mind, it can eat away at somebody who has like some insecurities with that. And I absolutely struggle with those insecurities quite a bit because I'm a very emotionally intact guy, and I very much will share my emotions. I have no problem displaying them. I very much have effeminate qualities to myself that I absolutely adore. I could not imagine living without those qualities that me or some other people would define as effeminate. And it's just the happiest that I am, and the time that I feel most like a good man are the times where I don't think about it at all, because why the would I care what somebody else has to say about my like concept of a person?
Right.
My actions, if those actions affect you, absolutely, I want to hear your opinions on those.
Yeah.
But I don't care if you have 2 PhDs in psychology and in human development, and you have this kind of ideal about what a man's psyche is or what a man's actions are. I don't really care what you have to say about it. It's I am me. I happen to own a penis. I guess I'm a guy. I guess I'm a man.
Yeah.
But my success as a person and my success that I have is going to be, if I have anything to say about it, more indicative of my quality as a person than my quality as a man.
Yeah. I love that. That's honestly like, and that's a foundational reason why we love getting together like this and talking like this and having you as a brother, having you as a friend. Is like, it's that outside perspective because I do believe that, I don't know if I can even, I'm speechless, dude. That's so good.
Well,
but it's also not it's also not a real answer. Like what I'm doing is I go through these processes of where does one thing not apply to another? And if I can't find that, then it doesn't really exist. So in the context of when it comes to defining the man to me, it's okay, let's break this down to something really basic. Well, a man should be somebody who can sustain a family. Well, if somebody who identifies himself as a woman can't sustain a family, that's not a good quality for a woman either. So that can't be a quality that's solely defined by men. Okay, so then this is a quality that defines a person. A person can supply for a family. It's not just a man. It doesn't define a good man or a bad woman or a bad man or a good woman. It defines a good person can supply for their family, for the people that are dependent on them. Okay, so that one's out of the window, and that's one that a lot of people kind of say is like a man should support their family. No, a person should. A man's just talking about it and talking to other men. I'm talking to people. I am a person. I'm talking to people. What defines me and my good qualities, what defines Edgar and the qualities I love about him, what defines you and the qualities I love about you, and in the people that I work with, the people that are my family, the people that I adore, the qualities that define them as people that I enjoy, the qualities that define them as people that I want to be around and I want to talk with, define them as good people. Not as good men, not as good women, not as good bosses, as good brothers, as good people. And that's who I want to be around. And now I'm choked up. God damn it, dog.
Dude.
I'm supposed to be funny. Fuck.
Well,
dude, that's so good.
That's what, see, and the biggest thing that comes to me, like if we could weight it down to a sentence, is what defines a great man is just being a great version of yourself, right? Because it's when you have this confidence and saying, no, this is me. This is truly me. I'm not doing this because somebody else thinks I should. I'm not acting this way because I think someone else thinks I should. I'm acting this way because this is who I truly am, and it's being genuinely yourself is what makes you a good person. Now, I think there are characteristics that differentiate you from a shitty person and you from a good person, right? If you constantly just think of yourself and think of ways to better, or think of ways that you can gain something out of a relationship or out of something, and I think selfishness is a big factor on whether or not you are a good person or not. Are you doing this for only your benefit? Or are you doing this for the benefit of the people who are in your life? Because I think if someone is in your life, you have a sort of sense of responsibility to them.
Yes.
I think regardless if it's an acquaintanceship or not, I think your responsibility to them is to be your genuine self.
Yeah.
Because that is when you are truly able to give to this other person, is when you are giving who you truly are to this other person.
Yeah. And
Yeah. Absolutely. There is this is going to tie into a quote that I've just had a very profound love for a while. And whatever it is that drives us, whatever fuel that we use to get better every day, we're going to use different fuel sources for that. There will be people who use, I got to get up every day and I got to be a better man for my family.
Yeah.
I got to get up and I got to be a better man for myself and my future family. I got to get up and I got to be a better man for, my sister and her boyfriend have 3 cats at the house, and I can absolutely tell you they get up every day and they do their shit so that they can supply their cats a better life. They want those cats to have floor-to-ceiling windows on top of a skyscraper, baby. They get up and they work so that Boots can have a better view.
That's amazing.
And some fuel sources will just burn better than others. But whatever it is that you use, I'm positive about you. You get up and you work your ass off every day. You think, just like physical labor and just putting in those actual hours, but putting in that creativity, putting in that headspace to get more successful and to have more time for your family. That's your fuel source. I have my own different fuel source. The quote goes, it will burn with more light than heat. It's a John Green quote that will go back to whenever he was writing his first couple of books. He wrote so many of them. The first little bit of Looking for Alaska, which is his first published book, he talks about how when he was writing, he had this sense of I have to prove people wrong about myself, which I can absolutely relate to.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I have to do this so I can prove people wrong to myself, so I can prove my ex-girlfriend wrong about me, so I can prove my family about some disparaging comments they said wrong. And I have all these things to prove, and that can be a great fuel source, but it's a dirty fuel source. It's a dirty fuel source, and it can burn really bright. It can burn exceptionally bright, but it will have no substance to it. It will have no heat to that flame. Those times where you get up and you perform for a better life for your family and your children, for future family and future children, to be that better person for those that you love around you, that is a fuel source that burns with impeccable light and absolutely scalding heat. That is a absolutely gem of a quote that I think about so much because as you mentioned earlier, with my age and the generation I'm a part of, a lot of formative things have happened in my life, but those formative things have usually coincided with some negativity. Yeah. It's those moments, those juncture points, that point of criticality has usually come with some sort of negative implication to it. And so when I look to get out of that, when I look to succeed past that, that fuel source for a while was a dirty fuel source. It was, I'm gonna fucking show those people. Yeah. I'm gonna fucking show everybody that I'm the king of all of this. That I could do this. I could be better than that. That they had a bad opinion of me. That they had a wrong opinion, and that they just saw a bad side of me. And it wasn't until I just decided, I gotta be better for better's sake. I just gotta be better because it's the right thing to do. I gotta take the responsibility that I have to take because it's just the right thing to do. It's the correct thing to, I'm gonna get to work a little bit early because they need some help. They worked really hard last night, so I just gotta get up early and I gotta get that done because that's the right thing to do. That is a very renewable fuel source of energy for getting things done and for being a better person than, well, I got to get to work early and I got to get this done because I want to be seen in a better light. I got to earn brownie points, or I'm gonna do that so I can kind of store that away and use it as like a bargaining chip later. No, dude, I'm doing this because I want to do this. I'm doing this because I love the people that I'm around. When I go out and I do something to help them, it's not because I'm looking for something out of them. It's not because I'm doing it so that they see me in a better light. I'm doing this because, hey, I want to do it. And if I don't want to do it, I'm just not going to do it. That fuel source quote from John Green is just a, hey, dude, good writer.
Well, and it's
wild.
the funny thing is right when you have a bad fuel source, the fire that is essentially you, right? Your fire almost kind of dies out because it's a quick spark, but then it dies out. The fuel to where you're using the responsibility of other people, your responsibility, your accountability, your intentionality when it comes to if you use it towards other people, that fuel itself almost renews itself as it's being burned. So it not only makes your fire and your to get all sappy, your flame, right? It builds up your flame, but the funny thing is as it's building up your flame, it's also renewing itself. So it continues to burn hotter and stronger and then your flame, as it builds hotter and stronger, sparks other people's flame to ignite hotter and stronger. And it's like when you take 2 Bic lighters, right, and you have gas pouring out of one and one's already lit, and then you pop them together, the flame gets twice as big, it gets twice as strong, and yet now this other lighter, if I pull it away, is now lit.
Yeah.
We're getting real close to a shitty homily right now. we're getting real close to a bad homily, guys.
I don't know. I feel like that's.
I like it.
I like that, and
I'm full of bad homilies.
I think that's the perfect way. Don't worry, we're gonna do this just off camera. I think
beautiful.
I think that was a beautiful.
Great send off.
That's great send off. Thanks for joining us for the Wednesday Wind Down. We're the Bourbonists. This is Ethan. Peace out.
Have yourselves a good night.